was just going to ask how many people, illustrators and photographers out there are or have transitioned to motion or thinking about transitioning to motion. A lot. That's a really high percentage, which is really interesting. Before we see the winners of this year's motion contest, we're going to chat with a couple of artists who have made that transition successfully and find out why and how hard it was and what the result has been. So with us today, we have illustrator Richard Borga and photographer Stephen Mallon. Richard is a past winner of the contest, and I believe, are you a current winner too? And a current winner too. And Stephen was a judge in this year's contest. Richard is an illustrator and motion design artist based in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, a graduate of Concordia College in Minnesota and the University of Arizona in Tucson. He taught illustration at Western Carolina University in North Carolina before moving to New York in the mid-1990s, and it was 10 years after that he took an After Effects course at the School of Visual Arts. So let's take a look at a sample of his work. Thank you. And now we also have Stephen. Stephen is also from Brooklyn. As a photographer, he made a big splash a couple of years ago, and you'll pardon the pun, by documenting the salvage of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 from the Hudson River. And that, ironically, sort of led on a curious pathway onto something new. He became a pioneer in time-lapse motion, which really wasn't that big a thing at the time when he started it, but is huge now. His work often involves New York City infrastructure, and I think we have a clip from the Metropolitan Opera. Is that right?
I think you might be seeing the Armory show.
Which one?
I think this is the Armory show. This is the film that we did for the Armory Art Fair.
Oh, okay. Okay, we changed. Okay. So let's take a look at that. Richard, let's start with the basic question. Why did you feel the need to take a course in After Effects and get into motion?
Sure. Well, I'd always, or not always, but for a big part of my career, I'd been making three-dimensional sculptures and objects, and people had always said, "Oh, you should learn how to make this move, learn how to make these things move." And I think it was looking at some music videos that Chris Mills had done, and some other directors have been doing, that just got me really excited about it. And I think, as an artist, you just want to always try and be doing new things, and it was a natural progression for me. And After Effects is very similar to Photoshop, so I like that about it.
And that was, what, 10 years ago or
Yeah,
so?
about 9 years ago.
So it's the technology, the software has probably changed a lot since then?
It's changed a bit. I think the big thing with After Effects was when they developed a 3D space inside After Effects, and I think that might have been like After Effects 6 or something. But yeah, I guess, it keeps changing, gets more powerful.
Stephen, how about you? You've got a kind of a curious story about how you started doing time-lapse.
Well, video scared the hell out of me because it's so much work. And I was dating a video editor, a decade and change ago, and I saw how long it took for her to get anything done, and I was just like, photography is so much easier. So I stayed with that, even though I always had these, delusions of grandeur about making movies, but just it was a little bit too much work for me to manage. And then as things came along and everything, and then, digital rolled in, and I equated a lot to when people started asking you, can you shoot digital? And, 10 plus years ago when I started shooting, if you said no, they'd be like, okay, that's fine, we still accept film. And now I think that with clients, you would need to get special permission to shoot anything on film. They would just assume that they're going to get JPEGs in a web gallery within 24 hours sometimes. So people have been asking, do you shoot video? And I was like, no. But the 5D Mark II had hit the market, and I knew that I was going to need to have that as a skill set if I wanted to be marketable. And I also hated the 5D Mark II. I didn't like the idea of the camera. I thought it was a half-breed monster, and I just wasn't happy with it. But Canon, fortunately, had a pretty easy device, which is the intervalometer that allows you to do time-lapse really simply. And I had all the Canon equipment. I borrowed a bunch of stuff from other people and shot a quick test on my bike for Getty, biking through the city. They looked at it. They thought it was horrible, rejected it, told me, go make 50 more of these. Maybe we'll give you a contract. And I was like, the hell with that? I'm already shooting for you stills. I don't need to worry about it. 2 years later, things were rolling along and everything. And then we shoot a short film with Weeks of a chimney delivery. And it went okay.
Weeks is the salvage company.
Yes, sorry. Weeks Marine is one of the clients that changed my life. They took me along on a chimney delivery, and I followed that process for a couple of days. But the film didn't really get finished because I didn't go back. I didn't see the chimney do the da-da-da-da-da shot. So we kind of ended it where the chimneys just arrived in pieces, and I didn't finish it off. And so afterwards I realized, and it's like, crap. So then they give me another call, and they're telling me that they're moving the Willis Avenue Bridge. And I was like, this is a perfect time-lapse project because I actually will be able to, I know how it's supposed to end. I've got access from beginning to end. And so we scouted it, set up cameras, and then created this time-lapse film that then got picked up by a lot of press. The Wall Street Journal hosted it, and then, the Sci-Fi Channel posted it on one of their blogs at one point. And so that got into a half a dozen different film festivals and also got the attention of the Department of Transportation. And they called me, and they were two things, hey, that's our bridge. And second of all, why does your film look so much better than the one that we paid for? So that landed the contract with the city, which is then now added on the Brooklyn Public Library. We're working on a film for the Taxi and Limousine Commission right now, and also the films for the Armory and the New York Times.
I would imagine that the rise of demand for motion illustration goes along with the rise of the internet, right?
Yeah, it's just so much more accessible, and everybody's talking about Facebook and social media, and it's all over the place. So the platform is there to just make work and put it out there, self-publishing.
And how has it affected your career? I mean, do you still do illustration and motion, or? You know,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do both.
yeah. And how has it affected your career? Is there any kind of interplay?
It's nice to be able to go between, to do both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the illustration jobs are generally there. It's a shorter time frame. It's kind of more in and out. You get the assignment, you do the sketches, and do the work. The animation and video projects just have a longer. You're kind of busy for a longer period of time. But I'll take on a few things at the same time.
What would a typical motion piece that you do be in length?
Well, like a complicated animated music video that's about 3 minutes long, if there's a lot of After Effects and fly-arounds and stuff inside the computer, usually have about 3 weeks to do that, 3 or 4 weeks to do that. But things can go a lot faster than that as well.
And Stephen, how, in terms of time lapse, as I was mentioning, when you were starting with the 5D Mark II, and
It was actually the Mark I.
Mark I. Wow, you were really. It was the Mark II that sort of opened up filmmaking for DSLRs. So, how has the technology progressed a lot in terms of how you work?
The hard drives have gotten cheaper. That's been good. We shoot. It's expanding, it's changing. I think one of the things that I'm really interested in right now is also the camera movement. I'm getting we bought a time-lapse slider, which was great, and we're starting to do some more tracking shots, and we're watching very, very carefully what the Federal Air Administration is going to decide about drones, because at the moment, I'm kind of being told the NYPD will be really pissed at you if you fly it anywhere in New York, so we haven't been able to do that, at least for commercial work, and everything I do in filmmaking is for work, and so we can't take that technology out with us within the 5 boroughs just yet. So I think that's the main thing where the technology is impacting me right now is with camera movement. We were at the photo expo this past week, and there's a gimbal system there. And it's just insane, and it's like you've got the remote control there, and you sit there, and it looks, you're talking to HAL. It's just like, no, I'm not going to go there, Dave. And they had it built out on this gimbal on another separate little remote-controlled car, and so you're going to be able to take this thing out onto the streets on a completely stabilized platform and be shooting at 20 to 30 miles an hour for, a lot less money than it would have cost when you had to rent an entire car rig. And so I'm just dying to get my hands on that, and so I'm just waiting for the next project. It's we really have to shoot it like this.
And this goes back to the question that asked earlier. Do you think that it is inevitable that photographers are going to be more and more transitioning into motion?
I think it's helpful. I think it's a skill set that similar when you're working in any form of production. If you need to work on a job that you're shooting large format, it's just handy to know how to shoot 4x5 or 8x10 film. And I think that the more skills you have, you're going to be more marketable. I think there's still going to be a client base where you don't have to touch motion, but people are going to hopefully want you for your vision. And if they have a project that think your vision is going to be really good to transition, into a motion set, I don't think there's any reason to say no to that. You just need to hire a really good editor, a really good DP, a really good gaffer, and you produce the job. You're working yourself as the director or the DP on the project, but you can outsource a lot of the skill set that you don't know. We had 6 people on set on the Taxi and Limousine Commission, because we were shooting up with a C500 to a 4K recorder that I'd never touched in my life. And so my director partner was actually doing the interview. I was shooting stills and manning one of the 4 cameras, but we needed someone else keeping an eye on all of this technology. So my suggestion is get access and outsource at the same time, because the learning curve it's there, but I feel now it's much more manageable than when I was scared of it 10 years ago.
And when you work on your work, is it you, or do you have do you bring in people? Do you have a crew that works on this with you?
When I've directed and animated the music videos, usually I have a crew, a DP and hair, makeup, wardrobe, and the DP's crew, and then a studio. We would shoot on a green screen, and then for the most part, the After Effects stuff, I've been taking that all on myself and pretty much just do all that. But I love collaborating with other people. One thing I just wanted to mention about just motion versus a still image was for me, as I was starting out, the hardest thing about it was just getting my head around the idea of time, because I was so used to trying to capture everything in a still image, or at best a full page illustration and a couple of spot illustrations so you can work in series. But the thing I love about working in a time-based media is the beginning, middle, and end,
Yeah, so
and the way that you can reveal things. And that's a difficult thing to do in illustration.
It's more of a storytelling narrative. And I've heard that from a lot of photographers who've moved into motion. The hardest thing to think, to get your head around is it's a storytelling.
Yeah, it's
medium.
that aspect of like showing every single moment you sometimes don't originally think about as a photographer. Like when you go in to shoot a portrait, you sometimes just walk in, shoot them at their desk or wherever they are in the room and everything, and then walk away and everything. And when you're doing film, it's like you almost you need to have the introduction. You need to have the hand shot of them on the doorknob. You need to get them like walking in and then stepping into the actual environment, depending on what you need. But it's like there are so many other elements of storytelling with video that was new for me, and I also I'm really enjoying discovering that. It's a fun process.
I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of questions. Anybody have any questions that you would like to ask Stephen or Richard?
Well, I think I've done illustration for quite a while, so for me that's a natural thing to do. It's a great question, but I think with illustration, or a still image, you're really trying to show kind of everything all in one frame, and I don't know. That's how I was trained to do it. One thing that I think is really fun about animating and working on a timeline with editorial illustration, you're always trying to come up with a visual solution to a problem, and then it's basically applying that on a timeline, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah, I would say it's a fallback position for me. I'm used to having to deal with that, so it's more when I'm making films that I have to be using more of my brain. Photography is a little bit more intuitive.
How about working with specific clients on motion versus, still work? Is there more of a collaborative effort, or is it pretty much the same?
For me, it's a little bit. It's kind of a production pipeline. You have you set these small milestones that as you're going forward, and you want to keep going down that path. Mm-hmm. So with animation, you don't want to, be getting pretty far along with it, and then have the client say, "I wonder what it would look like if we did this," and then you're kind of unraveling everything. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the main thing, is just kind of managing the process and going forward. But yeah, it's definitely collaborative, because you're showing style frames and storyboards and animatic, and so at all those junctures, there's potential to collaborate.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hire freelancers. So all of you learn motion graphics, and then Stephen at StephenMallon.com.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if it's so much of a concern as it's just I want to continue to be to do work that I like to do and be viable and be basically just be able to contribute, and so I don't know. I mean, it would be nice if the prices were just going up all the time, but it doesn't seem to be.
Well, you can't avoid it, especially not in New York, and also just because of the internet. You don't even need to necessarily be here. It's good here because of that charm factor that they were talking about a little bit, but also just some of the meetings and the creativity and the environment is good to be here. But I think the main thing that is I've always been telling people in lectures is it's your emotional content is what you're bringing to the stage. And so the aspect is really taking your emotional content and experience and then translating that into visuals is what is going to define you as an artist. So you need to be able to, be able to hear yourself, hear all your inner demons and voices and everything. Figure out how then to translate that into visuals. In New York, in particular, I would say do that first before worrying about the market you're going after, because I think that people, even though you're always told you have to know exactly what you're doing in photography, I don't know how it is with illustration, but with photo, we had to know, like, if you're shooting fashion, like, what kind of fashion? Was it street? Was it, high end? You couldn't be jumping around page to page in your portfolio. And in my experience with that is that I tried to define myself a little bit too early. I tried to be a fashion photographer because I loved making beautiful photographs. What I didn't realize is that fashion photography is not about beautiful photography. It is about selling clothing. And I really thought that, but they'll be able to make that transition. No. And I think that, so you need to kind of understand what you are good at, what you want to do, and then find the market afterwards. And that is one of the ways that you're going to be able to put yourself into the mix. I don't think you're going to be able to avoid it, but I think that would be my suggestion on how to approach it.
Maybe the market will find you too. But I think just do work that you really enjoy doing and that you really love and that you feel good about, and don't try to overthink how is this going to make me money or how is this going to get me jobs, but just do things. And I think that both the pieces that got into the show this year were just labors of love. It's just things that I just made just to do things because I didn't have any motion work going on at the time that, I just wanted to make something. And I usually use a deadline like the competition deadline. I think that it was due on Monday and I'd kind of been dragging my feet. And finally on Friday, I kind of got serious about it, and I was like, all right, and I just really, put in a long weekend and got some work done, and that's just how I need those kind of deadlines to motivate myself. It's through social media and entering competitions, and also just kind of like word of mouth and getting out and meeting people. And back to the postcard question that was from before, I actually just had a new postcard come in the mail, so I have a stack of postcards over there if anybody wants postcards afterwards. There you go. There you go. I still feel like Steve Martin in The Jerk when the phone book comes. When a box of postcards comes, I'm always excited about it.
Yeah, I've got direct mail. I do MailChimp for the email blast. I have some custom printed flash drives that I give out to creatives. I did a series of catalogs through, who's the HP custom printer that just got bought by Blurb? MagCloud, thank you. So I've got 4 of those, and I've got a printed portfolio, the website, the blog, and word of mouth and the referrals have been picking up lately. I just did a handshake deal with a brand new agent yesterday. Can't talk about it yet.
Hey. I have had an agent out in California, Duck Studios, and now I'm kind of transitioning out of them, and I've been working with another guy, Peter Barg, Z Animation. But I'm kind of like interested in putting that on the front burner and developing a relationship with agent.
Do you use any of the distribution platforms like Vimeo, or your work is up there?
Yeah.
Yep. Actually, I've got a question. Are you on both Vimeo and YouTube? I've always been kind of anti-YouTube, but
yeah, I am. But
you're on both?
I think now, like posting new work, it's more likely to just go on Vimeo. That's one thing that I think is a little bit hard, is if you make a personal film and a personal project, the competitions don't want it to really be out there. Like the film festivals don't want it to be out there, and so they don't want it on Vimeo. And they want to, so that's a little bit tricky to put this much effort and stuff into a project. And then I think I tend to kind of like limit the promotion of that to like stills or little clips or little tests or something, but they don't want it to already be like out in the public world.
That raises a good question about festivals. Are festivals, do you both enter them? Are they worthwhile, or?
Yeah, I do enter them, and this one I hit pretty hard for the last, I think, 3 years. Mm-hmm. It's been 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. And other ones, somewhat, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hitting the film festival circuit. The Willis Avenue Bridge was shown at the Woodstock Film Festival, and I found out afterwards that was like an Oscar qualifying film festival. And it blew my mind that I was in a festival that might actually possibly bounce into the Oscars somehow. And I missed the deadline. Like, I found out like 2 days after it had passed that we could have actually applied to get into the Oscars with this film. I don't think there was any way it ever would have, but the fact that I had the chance to put a film into the running for the Oscars was cool. Yeah, it's true. Like the Cannes Film Festival, like you can't have it out anywhere to submit to them, and it's such a it's a problem because you want to get the word out, but at the same time you're not allowed to show it to anybody if you want to get into the coolest film festival possible. And I mean, you can password protect Vimeo links, so it's not like you can't upload it and send it to somebody specific. You just can't allow it to show up on search engines.
Right.
And there's a thing or a service called withoutabox.com.
Right.
And you can sign up with them, and they'll keep you alerted as to what all the current festivals, all the deadlines and stuff, and they kind of organize it all, because it can be a little overwhelming.
Hyperlapse.
I haven't yet. Have you?
I don't think I have either.
All right. Well, now we're going to look at the coolest film festival.
Yeah, the coolest film festival. Thank David. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Stephen. The winners in the Motion Arts Project are presented in 4 categories. We call them live action or photography, animation or illustration, motion graphics or design, and then we have a category for student. The reason we do that is what we're focusing, this festival, our show focuses on artists who have worked as in the still medium that are making that transition. And our show focuses on the hand and eye, not so much the collaborative, because motion work is very collaborative, but we're looking at that singular artist's vision. So that's what we're celebrating.
Today is the day that we get better, guys. Today is the day. Today is the day that we're leaving on the field. I need you to endure. I need you to embrace the pain. Embrace the sweat, the tears, the blood that it's gonna take. Today is the day that we outwork our opponent. Today is the day that we sacrifice. Every day, you gotta be better. Today is the day that we do something for somebody besides ourselves. Today is the day we do it for each other. Let's do it for each other today. Today, the only thing that matters is picking up your brother when he's down. Today, the only thing that matters is pushing through. We do it for each other. We do it for Temple. We do it for Philly. We do it because we love it. We want to win. Nobody's gonna give it to us, fellas. Nobody. Today, the only thing that matters is getting better.
For over 100 years, BP has been committed to providing energy for America. But this winter, it will come from a different source.
bring the energy to represent America.
I have the energy to take on the world. It's an amazing feeling.
This is our moment.
BP is honored to support Team USA and committed to American energy, wherever it comes from.
Let There Be Neon was founded in 1972 by Rudy Stern. He just saw this need and this absolute beauty for neon, and he quickly discovered the art of neon and being able to create new and current pieces. The soul of the company is custom neon signs. I think it really begins with the initial artwork. It has to be laid out properly and cleanly. At one time, people would come to us with rough sketches and we would have to fine-tune their work. Now we're getting finished items and email attachments that are more completed. There's almost less work for us to do because people are presenting it, but on the other hand, we also have to make a lot of corrections to make it into neon.
When I was a kid, I'd watch movies with funerals. I would try to feel what it would be like to have people miss me when I'm gone. Out here, none of us have families. We look to each other to fill that space. My parents is told to me were pretty much a pimp and a prostitute. I don't have any memories of my mother. I have never ever met my father. The man is a myth. It is hard to love, but it is even harder to receive love. A lost little boy kind of grew up to be a lost little man. Brother, 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 I'm sorry to hear about your woman. I can't believe somebody would shoot her down in the street. She was singing in a choir, sweet Jesus, higher and higher, said she gonna save us from the fire, but couldn't save herself. And I tried to keep it cool, y'all, at a pool hall, just trying to reach what a little bit come of me. Will there be peace for me? How long will I be in the
Hey! Good. My new office is amazing. Yep, no, I'm busy too, so okay. Bye. Hello? This is really old. Yep. No, things are pretty busy. Oh, hang on, Mom. Please hold, Mom. Hello. Anna is not here right now, but she told me to tell you that she mailed that check.
Fast company, fast raps. Whoop. Doing Vine rhymes for the timeline, you know what I'm saying?
For the pretty girl next door. Who's shipping it up? Maybe I should change it. Bet that a little bit of reports on the bet that you're gonna refund every start. Twitter been started. I'm gonna see it. Forget to be Twitter been started. Started the build of the stars and the most in the bit. Mother. So close. Okay. Bonds think about a moment is making a video, sharing it out, and staring upon the competitors, looping the scene. Forget to be Twitter been smarter. The build of the stars and the most innovative approach, and I bet that you're gonna rewind and restart. That was pretty much perfect. Okay.
I think Greg Ruth's style is extremely fresh. The general public might take for granted, but a fellow artist would know and understand how very difficult what he does is and how masterful he is at using the minimal amount of line and texture to create an incredibly realistic and energetic looking picture.
Greg works in what I would call a realistic style for the most part, but it's touched by magic. There's a sense of mystery and a sense of history, a sense of place that is very strong.
Hey Dad, can you just draw this? And I'll come up with some weird, crazy idea. And then he'll draw that.
All this is going on, and I'm sitting in the buggy, our buggies, and you know, there's phones going off. Family members trying to get a hold of them. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to answer them. I wish I could. I wish they could have answered them, but it wasn't going to happen.
I think I was laying in the hammock reading a book, and my phone just started exploding with text message after text message of people just saying, "I'm so sorry, I heard what happened, we're praying for you." And I didn't know what that meant.
I mean, yeah, it made sense that they had to deploy and that it was a dangerous situation. Whenever you have to deploy your shelter, it's not a good position to be in. You don't look to that. That's not what you want to do. I want to come home.
That's the fabulous quality of the olden days. They really are a great cabinet of curiosities. Just about everything and anything can be drawn out to suit the current times. Or tucked away again. So, while Anglo-Saxon Alfred was consigned to obscurity, Celtic Arthur underwent another upgrade. Idolising a fond, rose-tinted English past was one thing. But what if your ancestors were generally considered as outlaws and brutes, as in the olden days in Scotland? After its union with England in 1707, Scotland had become a hotbed of bloody revolt, with a fierce rebel force, the Jacobites, hell-bent on restoring James II's deposed Stuart dynasty to power.
I can't wait to be big. For a goodnight kiss. For the cake to be baked. For it to stop raining. For Christmas.
There are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know. There are known knowns.
Things we know we know.
Things we know we know. There are things we know
we know.
And we also know there are known unknowns.
Known
we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't. There are also unknown.
So that is to say, we know there's some things we do not know.
We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
You saw me, I saw you, we thought I'll have one of those. We played our very best hands and wore our finest clothes. Needing you, you were feeding me, the sun, the moon and the stars, with a song on your guitar. You said goodbye, Mr. Stace. Didn't need to explain, so I said goodbye, Jane. Once we were born, we ignored storm warnings as long as we could. Did we think it might work out fine? Did we just hope it would?
Shopping online. Who doesn't love it? But paying online? That's where you're faced with an endless sea of form fields. And that's why there's Visa Checkout. Sign up now and you'll spend less time filling out forms and more time actually shopping. Ready? First, tell us your name. Now make a username and password. Try something easy to remember, like your mobile number or email. Oh, and the password just has to be 6 characters. So tell us, how do you like to pay? Add any of your major credit or debit cards, as many as you like. Lastly, set your shipping address. There, you're officially registered with Visa Checkout. We'll keep all your account information safe and secure, so you can pay online in a snap. Now, whenever you shop on the sites you love, keep an eye out for the Visa Checkout button, like here. Things are kind of self-explanatory at this point. Yep, you got it.
Every 3 months, the government releases the GDP, aka our gross domestic product. It's a monster of a number, upwards of $15 trillion, and it's considered the best gauge of our overall economic health. But coming up with the GDP is tricky business, because the number is constantly getting adjusted after the fact, which means that in any given moment, it can give a false read. So what goes into the GDP? Well, think of it as every dollar we spend, every jumbo jet and juice box, every hour spent at the doctor's office, and every ounce of gas spent heating your home. It's pretty comprehensive, but sometimes the number of tickets sold to the zoo isn't quite right, or the number of new houses built in Boise gets overestimated. To correct for those mistakes, the government issues 3 separate versions of the GDP. The first one is called Advanced GDP. It almost always gets the biggest revisions, it doesn't include a lot of trade or inventory, so it's pretty much a rough guess. A few months later, the government revises the GDP again, this time with a lot more accuracy. Then, a full 3 months after the first report, the government releases another, quote, final update, appropriately dubbed the final report.
When was the last time you had an experience that changed your world? Are you ready? What would make you feel well on your path? Clear, truly alive? A healthy detox? Or a little indulgence? Do you desire adventure? Or do you long to do absolutely nothing?
Lucas took one of those trips that Americans of a certain rage must take. To find themselves in Utah, Lucas found himself marooned in the wilderness, 50 miles from society, covered in flop sweat and Cheeto dust, perched on the roof of his teenage Pinto as it neighed, a swan song. His cowed cell phone crowed, out of range, where seldom is heard a word. Should he hike back to Moab? Should he wait for his satellite to sink? Or should he scream like Job and curse the day he was born? To keep awake, he stared at the sun and sneezed. After a week, he came to believe that snakelets were zigzagging from his brain to his heart so that he felt what he thought. That was enough to move Lucas from the hood to the earth. He mimed building a fire and cooking a can of beans. At dusk, Li Po came down from the foothills looking for Keith Moon. Lucas offered regrets and faux jokes. They discussed The Who. Substitute is their best song, Lucas said.
Hello and welcome. Today we talk about luxury. Luxury without borders, yeah? We think luxury, we think indulgence, extravagance. Yeah, but sometimes the truth contradicts, and it surprises us with the opposite. Consider luxury and consumption. Consumption can be a luxury, but avoiding consumption can also be a luxury. Yeah, it is better to eat than to be eaten. So, now we see luxury in two lights, and it depends on the syntax. To be or not to be. Choose one.
Adventures of Universe Man, Photon the Wonder Dog. Brought to you by Like a Brand Dog Biscuit. Like a Brand, the choice of the proletariat.
The United States of America is not a democracy. It is a republic. A democracy is a form of government in which the people directly set policy by voting in town hall meetings and ballots. In a republic, representatives are elected, who then decide public policy on behalf of the people. Both have positives and negatives, but the framers of the U.S. Constitution chose a republic over direct democracy because of the perils of mob rule. Direct democracy has its roots in Athens. Athenian democracy has no leaders, and the people vote directly on legislation and executive bills. It is a system of rule by majority. Athenian democracy's main weakness is that it does not protect minorities and can become a bully state. Benjamin Franklin famously stated that democracy is two wolves and a lamb voting on what to eat for lunch. Liberty is a well-armed lamb contesting the vote.
Exact same time.
When a man walks into a room, he brings his whole life with him. He has a million reasons for being anywhere. Just ask him. If you listen, he'll tell you how he got there. How he forgot where he was going, and then he woke up. If you listen, he'll tell you about the time he thought he was an angel, or dreamt of being perfect. And then he'll smile with wisdom, content that he realized the world isn't perfect. We're flawed because we want so much more.
I became the color, I became the daughter and the sun when the feast was over. Welcome to the motherland. I lay my body down, down upon the border, wrapped up in the clothes of my mother and my father. Oh, this is wrong, and I wanna be complete. I was waiting around in my dad jump seat. I had no never now for that I lose. You would do anything just to get rescued. I had no isn't that the cute? Taste, sweet things said I gonna stop, said I gonna sunder. They don't know hunger or what I've been under. You were all laughing, thought I was debris. I was just free. We were ready to be.
Happy birthday, Damien! Oh, wow! Yeah! Mom, look! I'm the champ!
No, I'm the champ.
Yeah!